Thursday Night Football pits two AFC North teams against one another, both of which are coming off impressive Week 1 victories as the Baltimore Ravens travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Let's take a look at some of the X factors and key matchups in this one to watch for. The tight ends will play a huge role in the passing game against the Bengals, as I believe that's the matchup in this game in which Joe Flacco can definitely exploit. The trio combined for 9 catches last week against Buffalo, and if the Ravens want to loosen up this defense of the Bengals, they'll have to put those linebackers to work in the passing game, which is why these tight ends, Mark Andrews, Max Williams, and Nick Boyle, could figure to be huge in this contest. This week features an obvious step up in weight class as the Bengals have excellent personnel that can put a lot of strain on your perimeter defense, since he loves to work intermediate to deep with AJ Green and can do a lot of damage in the quick, short, and low intermediate game with their running backs, tight ends, and guys like Tyler Boyd and John Ross. Baltimore has to do a great job of keeping everything in front of them, staying square, and quickly driving on the football or the ball carrier. If they can't win here, this game could be over. Moving over to the Bengals in this ball game, nothing frustrates an aggressive attacking style defense more than guys that can generate chunk plays. We know AJ Green is a deep threat within his offense, but I look at guys like Joe Mixon and John Ross as those players who are always one missed tackle away from a huge gain. This is why I mentioned earlier about the Ravens winning on the perimeter, because Mixon versus a linebacker one-on-one in space should be an easy win for him, and John Ross versus a defensive back on a quick stop route or slant, and because of his explosive first step, he should be able to accelerate pass for a big gain. The best way to combat speed is with explosive speed, and the Bengals have that in these two players. As good as Joe Flacco played last week considering the weather situation, he still averaged 6.9 yards a pass attempt. To me, he knows the stakes are high for him this year and will play aggressively safe ball in the passing game, if you get what I'm trying to say. With that as the backdrop, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin has to help him make quick, bad decisions with the football. The old saying goes, pressure busts pipes. Well, by applying that pressure on the outside with the wide receivers, sending one extra guy either off the corner or on the inside, forcing Flacco to hit the check down, outlet, or eat a sack is going to be key. When you're facing a quarterback that has an elongated release, it gives you an opportunity, if you're a defensive player or defensive coach, to pressure to affect his decision making to limit his options throwing the football. Without that escapability of Andrew Luck or the guy that's actually backing up Flacco, this should be a situation where the Bengals can definitely take advantage. The key matchup in this ball game, I think, is the Ravens offensive line versus the Bengals interior defensive front. Last week we saw the Ravens struggle to run the football against the Buffalo Bills. This week they face Geno Atkins, Andrew Billings, and Ryan Glasgow on the inside. Atkins alone can tend to draw a double team, while Billings does a great job of maintaining the point of attack and the line of scrimmage, and we saw Glasgow do a great job in finding the ball carrier last week. If these guys start to create disruption on the interior, it'll take the focus away from guys like Dunlap and Michael Johnson on the outside and company coming off the edge. The Ravens offensive line is really good in my opinion, and guys will have to work together to consistently win against Cincinnati's front and not try to treat this thing like a one-on-one period in practice. If you play fantasy football and want my fantasy football analysis, be sure to follow my work on The Athletic by going to the website theathletic.com/fantasy or following on Twitter at TheAthleticFF. And if you're interested in putting a couple shekels on a game, let Gene Clemens, Chris James, and myself give you some top-notch advice on Football Gameplan's podcast, Best Bets. You can find that on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/FBGP podcast or on iTunes by searching Football Game Plan Podcast. I like the Ravens in this ball game. Defense and efficiency will be key on a short week, and Baltimore's defense is one that you can definitely trust a little bit more in this situation. I don't believe that either offense will be great per se, as both defenses will definitely come to play. I can see a 17-13 type of a game with the Ravens coming out on top.